Well, good afternoon, folks, or good morning, depending on time zones, I suppose. I think everybody's in the PM time zone right now. Uh, this is a national conversation, so there are people coming in from all over the country, all over the U.S., and maybe a few international folks. My name's Al Stutz. I'm just the introducer here. I get the easy part, but basically, I am pleased to be the introducer. My space is healthcare. And I've been in that space for a long time, and I am um, what's a large enterprise, but it's nonprofit. That's Johns Hopkins. But I've been there for quite a while, so I enjoyed this kind of conversation because this is a topic we in the non-for-profit space are often introduced to technologies, and then the big decision becomes: should we adopt the new technology? Should we spend the resources and the time and energy on that technology? What do we do? And oftentimes we make the right decision, and it's a great win in terms of improving enterprise performance and productivity, and in improving stakeholder value and satisfaction. And then there may be a miss in the sense that we've utilized enterprise precious resources in a way that aren't particularly helpful to the enterprise. We have a great conversation going, and I'm going to let in a minute Maxine Legal will introduce the panel and herself. But I wanted this is one of those, when you get to virtual, as much as of the time you can keep your screen live, that would be great. But at the same time, use your fingers in the group chat, type in those questions or comments on what's being stated or what's not being stated, that the panelists can kind of see what you're thinking as you type it into the group chat. And then towards the end of the conversation, there will be an opportunity for us to kind of go live to everyone in the room. There's probably 20 people here, so not everybody maybe wants to say something, but some people might have something to say. So that will be more towards the end of the conversation. Unless it's burning, you really have to get it out there. Hey, you missed this point, and it's really important to me. That's why I'm here. But other than that, I look forward to listening along with everyone here and to engaging with the conversation. And with that, let me introduce Maxine Legal, who I've known quite a while in different enterprises and different organizations. So Maxine, I'm glad you're here and moderating this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. And it's great to have you with us. Good afternoon, good morning, good whatever, depending upon where you might be. My name is Maxine Legal. I'm CEO and founder of Thrive Inclusively, and I'm also going to be your moderator for this afternoon's conversation. My company specializes in consulting, public speaking, and coaching. We help organizations reach their full potential through looking at things like cultural engagement, self-care, well-being, building psychological safety within organizations, and having great conversations, which is really where a lot of change begins. And that's what we want to do this afternoon. We want to talk about AI, and we want to have a conversation about things that we may not know about, misconceptions we might have, fears we might have. Maybe some of us need to be brought over into the AI boat. I don't know. I'm assuming there are a lot of different reasons why you've joined today with a lot of questions. So I'm excited to jump in and have this conversation with Peter, Ryan, and Hugo. So once again, it's a virtual council, and what we're talking about is from vision to action, building blocks for nonprofit AI impact. That being said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to have each of our panelists introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they do, and then I'm going to challenge them to answer a question, a bit of an icebreaker, if you will. My question to them is going to be, were you always an AI believer? Why or why not? Were you always an AI believer? Why or why not? And hopefully you'll convince me to become an AI believer as well, because I'm trying to come over to this side. So with that being said, I'm going to throw the mic to Peter. Why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about yourself and answer our icebreaker question.
Great. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be with all of you. I'm Peter Kress. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer with Axe Retirement Life Communities Incorporated. We are a nonprofit who owns and operates 29 retirement campuses up and down 9 states on the East Coast. We serve well over 10,000 residents with 8,500 employees. Our residents live with us typically the last 4,000 days of their life. Most of that healthy and independent, although, of course, as a continuing care retirement community, we also care for them. if and as needed through their entire life cycle. So I'm going to intro myself a little more through the icebreaker by stating that I was supposed to retire this month. And 2 years ago, my CEO came to me and said, Peter, are you sure about those plans? We would like you to co-lead our effort to rebrand ourselves as a well-being organization, to change our business model. We would like to give you an opportunity to separate a little bit from IT operations in order to focus on innovation. And so I was able at that time to take a look around me, and lo and behold, ChatGPT had just been announced 6 weeks before that. And I've always been a techno optimist. And I'm also passionate about what we do. I've been with Axe for well over 30 years. And my passion has been this intersection of aging, well-being, technology, and frankly, middle market. That sounds technical, but we don't have great solutions for people in the middle market. CCRCs like Axe tend to be a little bit more upper market in their core business. And I sat there, looked at what was happening, just announced with AI, and I had my own fear of missing out, and said, we actually have then I was extending by 2 years. So I said, we actually have the opportunity over the next 4 years, half of it's gone, of transforming the way that seniors can experience the last years of their life. And I'll say it in one word. Right now, every day, I am focused on how do we apply AI to support joyful longevity. And for me, that's a great personal mission. I'm excited about doing that. 2 more years to make an impact, but hopefully that impact is largely passing the baton on to others in my organization to carry on what is obviously going to take a while to fully realize.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate what you said. Very powerful. The last 4,000 days of their lives. That was something that really sat with me. But thank you, Peter, and I appreciate that. Ryan, would you like to go next? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. So my name is Ryan McCamey. I am the head of our social impact practice at Valor and Reply. We are a Microsoft partner, so we're a solutions integration consulting, all things Microsoft, really end to end. And we have a dedicated social impact practice here that focuses on nonprofit organizations, arts and culture organizations, basically any kind of mission-driven organization. And we work very closely with the Microsoft Tech for Social Impact team to bring those solutions to bear for our clients. In terms of my own journey with AI, I'd say, yes, I've been a believer. I came up through the development background. So I was always, from university time on, been very closely involved with technology. And if I go back to those days, AI was a topic, and we were talking about neural nets and things like that. And so there was a lot of discussion, and to be honest, over the decades, probably some unrealized benefits that kind of things we hoped to come to fruition that never did. But the thing that's really exciting now is how fast it's moving and how accessible it is. It truly is AI for all. So one of the things I love about where it's going today, especially with the work we're doing with Microsoft, is it can scale up to the largest organizations in the world, or it can scale down to very tight, focused use cases that are accessible to even a small nonprofit. So I'm excited to be part of this space. I think there's a lot going on here, and it certainly continues to evolve every day. And it's one of the things that's really most exciting about what I do, working with so many different types of nonprofits, is I get to touch all these different use cases. And it's really fun to see what's possible. And literally on a kind of almost like a weekly, monthly basis, what new is coming from Microsoft that we can grab and use with our clients.
That must be exciting, right? You talk about being in charge of social impact and the work that you do, and how on the other side, when your clients are able to make such a big difference by leveraging AI, that must be something that really energizes you as well. So thank you, Ryan. Hugo, tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. So first of all, it's an honor to be here. My name is Hugo. I'm managing director, responsible for the data scientists, cloud architects here at Microsoft in a specific area called Tech for Social Impact. So that what that means is 100% of our team, they are fully dedicated to support nonprofit organizations. So everything that we do every day is to support nonprofit organizations, IGOs, NGOs in overall, international global organizations as well. So that's the reason that I'm so excited. This is the first topic. The second is related to AI. So in order to explain a little bit about my background, so before to the ChatGPT and OpenAI hit the mainstream, I used to go to celebrations and parties and everything. And when someone asked me, Hugo, what do you do today at Microsoft? I used to say, I work with AI, machine learning. They said, oh, really? What that means exactly? I have no idea. And which was like 30 minutes to explain. In the end of the day, oh, okay, I got it. So that's cool. And that's it. Nowadays, when we talk about, yeah, I work with AI, so everybody knows about, because which was, I would say, a game changer when the user interface came to life, and the accessibility for everyone in their hands, and they are able to use this in an easily way and have a high impact right away. So I am a early believer on AI for sure. As I said, when I joined Microsoft almost 7 years ago, I started to work as a principal data and AI architect, and on the path for machine learning and AI. And then I have the honor to be here during the time when we onboarded OpenAI and everything that we are seeing today. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right,
Maxine,
thank you.
can I make a comment?
Please.
Absolutely.
We've all said that we're believers, and we all are, and we're enthusiastic about it. It's linked to what we do. But that belief can't be just a passive belief. It needs to be active. There's two futures available. This is in the spirit of oversimplifying. There's two futures available. The one future is that we are augmenting humanity as individuals and as collectives, as groups, to achieve more than they've ever been able to achieve towards the purpose of lifting the human condition. But the other is that we can leverage AI to manipulate employees, customers, and others. One metaphor of that is let the AI tell what's the best thing they can do for the next 3 minutes, and then tell them what they can do for the next 3 minutes, and then tell them what they can do for the next 3 minutes. In other words, we could demean the human contribution. And I think that each of us has to recognize that in our optimism is not just a great, this is optimistic, everybody don't worry. It has to be a personal commitment that we will support that human-centered, that human aspirational outcome of AI, and that we will do everything we can to ensure that AI as a manipulator, that AI as a demeanor, or as a power centralizer is resisted. So I think you have a bunch of optimists here at the table, and I think you should. I think it's a great time for us to be optimistic, but at the same time, we have to be personally committed to that as a mission. And I think each of us in our organizations, nonprofits or for-profits, each of us in our organizations needs to be intentional around the commitment to use AI in the spirit of social impact.
Because if we are committed and intentional, then we'll be thoughtful about it. We'll be more careful, and we'll think over time, right? We'll check those balances. Like what change is it having? What impact is it having? We'll be more responsible, if you will, when we're intentional and committed to this new AI journey. I totally agree, Peter. I want to read something to the room, and then we're going to jump in with some questions. Nonprofit organizations are navigating an increasingly complex landscape with growing demands for efficiency, impact, and innovation. AI promises to do more with less, but how do you realistically integrate AI in your operations this year? And that's what we're going to talk about, right? During this discussion, we're going to talk about how do we do that and what does that journey look like? Now, ironically enough, in order to prepare for this panel, I leveraged AI. I told you I'm coming along. I'm not fully there. And one of the things that I found were some quotes, literally from ChatGPT around AI. And listen to this. Andrew Ng is quoted as saying, artificial intelligence is the new electricity. I thought that was pretty cool. That kind of makes me believe. But I'm wondering from the room, when you think of AI, what words come to mind for you? If you can put that in the chat as we jump into our discussion, I'd love to hear from you. When you think about AI, what words come to mind? C-Vision did an event last May, and someone asked the same question. And when they asked that question, the first thing that came to mind for me was Terminator. And so as you can understand where my mindset is, okay, in terms of where we are with AI. But I'm wondering from the audience what their thoughts are. Let's start with the first question. What specific challenges do you think nonprofits face today that AI is uniquely positioned to address? And I'll ask it again. What specific challenges do you think nonprofits face today that AI is uniquely positioned to address? And while you're thinking about that in the chat, I see automated intelligence, not artificial intelligence is a word that comes to mind for Carl. Janet says opportunity, optimizing operations and cost savings. And Melissa says efficiency, reduction in staff. Advanced Obina, I hope I say that right. Obina says advanced automation, advanced computing, efficiency, and capacity. So it sounds like we have some believers in the room based on the answers in the chat. So again, for the panel, what specific challenges do you think nonprofits face today that AI is uniquely positioned to address? And I'll throw it out to anyone, whoever wants to start.
Okay, you guys are too slow. You're gonna have to jump in there. I'm going to tell you that I am a nonprofit, and by the way, I do partner with Microsoft as well as Salesforce in realizing our AI objectives. But I think there's something really important to grapple with. The barrier to nonprofits has always been that technology has been a technology that required priesthoods to implement, to install, to make happen. And AI is unique in that AI lets the technology become more invisible. And it is responsive to people who are able to express intention well, to express passion well, to express mission well. The only real way to engage with generative AI is through conversations. And the power of conversation is something that the nonprofit industry has always understood from the ground up. We are sharing conversation in order to build support with constituents, with stakeholders, and with those whom we are hoping to impact through our missions. And AI actually is more productive in the hands of someone who can have a great conversation than it is in the traditional technologist.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, that's very interesting, Peter. That's an excellent insight. One of the things kind of building on that is I think of it as an opportunity to speak much more personally and directly to stakeholders. So using AI to better understand all of your audiences, whether that's the donor community or the people you're delivering services to, AI can help focus how we communicate and help us communicate well in the language that's going to be received by those different communities. And so being able to get more personal through the use of AI to derive those understandings can help you focus messages and get a lot more done with whatever your current media plan is, or your traditional outreach budgets and things like that. So I look at it in a world where, particularly I think of organizations that have a mix of government and private funding. Well, they're probably looking at that mix right now, thinking they need to, connect greater with the private side if some of their government funding is going to be reduced. And AI can really help you evolve and really expand how well you speak to that community by having those much more one-to-one conversations than you could in more traditional media.
Yeah, that's amazing, Ryan and Peter. So I would add there another perspective in terms of AI, not going towards to generative AI sides, but a use case that I have the honor to work with you, Ryan, with goodwill in origin counting. Like we had a phenomenal use case where, for instance, if I stop by at Goodwill and I'm going to donate this t-shirt, the blue t-shirt, on the time that I stop by there and make the donation, all the way to have this this t-shirt available in their website, in average, this could take around 5 weeks. Okay, that's the time, 5 weeks. Based on the vision of the CIO there, we were able to work together and with application on their mobile. When we take a picture now of the same t-shirts and we drop it there, and people with accessibility they are all-inclusive application, they take a picture, they are able to have this exactly the same information available at the website in a couple of minutes, instant to 4 weeks. So the AI was the backbone to make this transformation that saves, I would say, we can point this in 3 main categories. Research optimization. We were able to be inclusive to open the doors to others and to another people be able to work on the application that they were not able before, and drive this in a way that the resources are available through the website in a matter of minutes. So it was a big transformation. It was a unique position to address the issue that the CIO had, which is related to the time for all the way to donate and to the information be available at the website. It was a very transformative use case, if you will.
Thank you for that. I'm looking in the chat, and I think it was Carl that said operational efficiency and workforce enablement. He didn't, and he said that before you said what you said, Hugo, but I'm seeing and recognizing the theme in terms of the anecdote or the case study that you just shared. So thank you for that. Let me ask you this question. In your experience, what misconceptions do nonprofits have about adopting AI? I heard a little bit about this, but I want to go a little bit deeper. And how can we shift the narrative? And correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but when I think of nonprofits, I recognize that these are organizations who are committed to doing good, to have social impact, but they're also organizations that may not financially be positioned as well as companies in the for-profit. And so when we talk about misconceptions about AI, maybe the financial aspect of it might be a misconception. But I wanted to throw that out to you. In your experience, what misconceptions do nonprofits have about adopting AI, and how can we shift the narrative around that? Can I start with Ryan?
Sure. Well, one of them is, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, is AI is only for large organizations with a massive amount of data and maybe some data scientists on staff and a lot of IT sophistication. And so that was always the prevailing thinking, even going back a couple of years. It was like a lot of machine learning investment had to be made, and that included either a lot of computing infrastructure of your own or a high cost to do that in the cloud. And really that's evolved with so much product and service that is available today. We can scale AI all the way down to a very small organization, even if it's budget constrained, small footprint, not a lot of IT sophistication on site, because AI is intended to, as Peter said so eloquently, it makes the technology invisible. And so that's one of the things I like to talk about a lot with a lot of the folks we work with is, yeah, we spend a lot of time talking about how scalable the cloud is, but that goes in both directions. And so that means we can come in. One of the ways we get started with a lot of our clients is doing a very quick design thinking workshop. So we talk about AI use cases. We, within a span of 1 to 2 days in a conference room, we whiteboard out some ideas. We hone in on a use case, and then we say, hey, let's go build a pilot. Let's prove value in a small focused use case that we can bring to market in a matter of weeks with a very small team. And then you can kind of scale from there. And so I guess, the misconception is that AI is only for deep pockets, large organizations, things like that. And I say, no, AI is for all. And we can prove benefits to almost any type of organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan. You go up, Peter?
Yeah. I would add there, the misconceptions is related to AI is too complex. And I already had the opportunity to be in one of these design thinking sessions with Ryan and his team, where we were able to easily drive from a whiteboard with the design thinking panel to the MVP, and have this in a customer environment in matter of weeks. So I would say the tools and the way that we have this available today is getting involved not only from the AI perspective, but the data perspective, the data quality perspective, the way that we are now able to organize and govern the data and have this ready for AI. So it's getting more simple and fast to organize the data in order to have access for it and building on top of it. But it is super important to understand that mission first, like when we're talking about the misconceptions, so don't bring it to the table like a huge use case. It's something that you believe that is so complex. You start with it's something that is really important for your nonprofit organizations, and building from there that the solution and AI absolutely could be the answer and solution for this.
I think that where we do have case studies, and I think the Goodwill case study, I've been hearing about that case study for a while, is a great example of investment to impact. None of us should think it's easy to have scaled impact on any organization. This isn't because technology is hard, it's because organizations are hard. And when you are confronted with the technology like AI, which is moving so fast that it's scary to get on the merry-go-round. You don't know which cycle to get on. And that's why I agree with those of you who are saying start with small, mission impactful kinds of use cases. But I think we need to be even more basic. Start somewhere. The speed is it's frightening. And saying, okay, I'm going to do task automation am I going to use the right technology to do that? Am I going to use the right generation of it to do that? Those are real. But I think instead we need to recognize that we have to start with people and people's experiences with AI. The greatest empowerment will not come if we start by automating work process. That will be threatening to your workforce. That will be threatening to your team members. The greatest impacts are going to come when you are empowering people to do things that they haven't been able to do. And there's 1,000 ways to do that, right? Because what is AI? It's the knowledge of the world in the hands of each one of our employees. Even the use case that was shared earlier, that automated getting a Goodwill donation into the cloud, you could have described that use case as empowering the person receiving that donation to take 3 steps and to know that the product that they had received was now available for mission, as opposed to that person saying, yeah, I took that in, I wonder if that'll ever make it. It's an empowerment of the individual. And I don't think any of us should think any of this is easy, but I do think we all can start having strong experiences. And let's be honest about our fear. And let's have real conversations about our fear along that way. Because that fear will breed bad results if it means we stay away.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. I see a question in the chat, and I kind of want to jump on it because we're actually talking about this. Carl is asking if the misconceptions rather are true. How are you building the business case and demonstrating the return on investment for AI? I see some nonprofits don't consider technology a budget priority for the organization, or they believe it's cheating at work. Any thoughts on this question from anyone on the panel?
So since I'm a nonprofit, I'll start here.
Mhm.
So it's not easy, except that many of the early investments are very low cost, right? All of us can use a free or near free AI model, a free version of a Copilot, a free version of ChatGPT, a free version of these things, and start realizing that we can bring the resources of the world to bear on questions that we're asking. Now, by having that sort of small startup approach and by demonstrating that, and you are able to move from there to a commitment to literacy, a commitment to AI literacy. And it's important to make that commitment to AI literacy, not just to a few. That's returning to the age of the technology priesthood. If only you're letting 3 people in your organization sort of lead your way forward to AI, you're probably missing the boat. We said earlier, it's the real impacts are going to come as people who are on the front line of your organization at a management level, at a frontline level, at a service level, are starting to see how these technologies can allow them to have impact. So there is a bigger investment that eventually needs to be made. And that bigger investment is probably best to grow with your most trusted solutions, alongside of your most trusted solutions, because you're not the only one thinking about AI. The vendor partners you're working with, the solution partners you're working with are thinking about it too. Remember, they probably have more risk than you do as they think about AI. If they're not adapting those technologies, they're going to lose their relevance to be a great partner for you. And so if you start with AI literacy and the broad impact of AI literacy, you're going to start grassroots growing impacts. And by the way, if you don't start, your employees are starting. And they're probably just not daring tell you what they're doing because they think you're going to disapprove of what they're doing. You said it right in the question. We feel it's cheating. We cheat anyway because it's what gets us to our success. But we feel it's cheating. Of course, it's not cheating. We have a mission to achieve, and we need to leverage every resource we have to achieve that mission. But as you're looking for your bigger investments, whether you're partnering with Microsoft, whether you're partnering with Salesforce, whether you're partnering with other partners, companies like QuickBooks and HubSpot, and I'm just listing names. They all have an AI agenda, and they're finding new ways to help your organization find some successes through their product. And they can't charge you a lot. They can try to charge you a lot, but at the moment they charge you a lot, their competitors are showing that this should be organically connected to what we're already doing with that software. It should not change the financial game, the financial investment in the technology in a major way. It's been interesting. We use Microsoft. I've mentioned that we use other companies, and the price structure of AI is going down by over 10-fold every year. The capability is going up 100-fold. So that does mean that we're all going to be investing more. But there's an entry point to make.
Ryan or Hugo? Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Ryan or Hugo, any thoughts around Carl's question?
Yes, absolutely. So I believe that we can cover. This is a great question. First of all, so I would say we can frame out this in 2 avenues. One is in terms of resource optimization, that in terms of to calculate the ROI, what you're able to have from there in terms of resource optimization. And another part that is even more interesting is related to like in terms of revenue generation, something related to donor and community engagements, how AI-driven insights that is going to increase the donations for nonprofit organizations at scale using AI. Another example, when you design a solution or AI solution that it's going to change the core business, the way that you do business. I have one example here with Operation Smile. Operation Smile is a nonprofit organization that they are doctors and hospitals that came together in order to perform surgeries for kids with cleft lip for free in areas that they don't afford to make the surgeries because it's super expensive. So they came to us saying, like, we are able to perform X number of surgeries per day. And but in areas that we perform the surgeries in South America, Africa, and here in the US as well, in a very spread areas, I don't have the all specialists and doctors available in everywhere. So I need to rely for something. And sometimes like video conference, but we don't have data or high-speed data available in Somalia with a quality that I'm able to evaluate. So what we building for them was a solution is application that AI can make the evaluation of the patients before the surgery and after the surgery to evaluate the condition that they have as a result of it, in order to accelerate the process, they were able to increase the number of surgeries in 15%. 15%. That we are changing lives for the kids that needs to have access for it in 15%. So that means thousands and thousands of kids that has access now to surgery because of AI. So this is one use case. So what is the how to calculate the ROI in this case, Core? In terms of impact of lives, this is the core mission of the organization. So it was everything for them. We were able to, last month, to go together in Colombia, for instance, in order to kick off the application and the program and everything, and seeing the results there. It was transformational for Microsoft and for Operation Smile, for sure, especially for the kids.
Operation Smile, that's a wonderful case study. The healthcare practitioner in me, I'm working in healthcare, the outcomes were exactly the same, I'm assuming, when we looked at that 15% increase in procedures, correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Anyone who's hearing you say that in a boardroom is going to ask that question, right?
Yes,
to make
absolutely.
sure that you're seeing the same outcomes before as you would see.
Absolutely.
Ryan, thank you, Hugo. Ryan, anything you want to add around that before we to the next section?
So yeah, that's a beautiful story, the Operation Smile one, and we had an opportunity to meet with some of those folks at Microsoft's Ignite conference back in November, and so it was really fun to meet some of the people who are actually on the front lines, going out and delivering that service, that critical mission to people around the world. And so I look at it as two ways. We have these conversations all the time about how do I get started, and sometimes, you know, we'll have the conversation about how do we really go big and really transform a mission or really overhaul a business to where we're doing something like that. And that's great if you've got the buy-in from your board and the buy-in from leadership to go do that. But other times it's also like, hey, before we go hit the home run, let's get a base hit. And so we can operate in both ways. And so those ROI measurements, and Peter kind of touched on this earlier, is they tend to be low cost. You do a pilot, you measure, you can think of it as an experiment. Maybe that experiment, the first one, fails, and the nice thing about this is it's, you haven't invested in CapEx and infrastructure and all of that. You can tear down your experiment and start over, and so you can quickly iterate and gather feedback. It's a very lean process, and through that you can build credibility. And sometimes that is your most tedious back office task, and maybe it's not transformational like the Operation Smile, but once you start building that credibility, you're kind of putting money in the bank, whether proverbial or literal, that you can then use to get into next year's budget to say, let's do something much more transformative. Now that we've proven we can empower our people, help, sometimes I hate the do more with less, because so many times that just means ask people to work long hours. I think in the AI space, it's legitimate, because you're saying, hey, I'm going to take things off of your plate. I'm going to give you positive ROI to let the staff we have, I'm not trying to reduce staff, I'm trying to make the staff we have much more empowered and focused on mission. And so through that, you can measure your small wins and then start to grow the impact. And then you get to the point where, okay, next budgeting cycle, now we're going to talk about going big. Now we're going to talk about, wow, we really transformed from there now that we've built some base success.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm jumping around a little bit with the questions. And yes, Richard, I do see your question in the chat. I want to talk to you a little bit about, we have Valorem reply in here, we have Microsoft. So I kind of want to understand this too. But what role do partnerships with tech providers like Microsoft play in simplifying app development for nonprofits? I've heard you talk a little bit about that, but if Ryan or Hugo, if you can talk a little bit more, kind of unpack that. What role do partnerships with tech providers like Microsoft play in simplifying app development for nonprofits?
Well, I can speak from the partner perspective. So, in working with Microsoft, especially this wonderful tech for social impact organization, we gain access to subject matter experts in addition to the products and services themselves, all sorts of support. Hugo and his team are absolutely invaluable to us as we work with clients, because they're bringing in, this is what they do all day long, is they work with these products and they help us build the best solutions possible for our clients. So as we're a partner with Microsoft, we're helping deliver their services to the world, but also, we're helping put together overall solutions for our clients that help them, like I said, do much more with less. And so to us, it's a very mutually beneficial relationship. And I look at the most successful projects we have, all three entities involved, the nonprofit, our team, and Microsoft, we all bring different types of expertise to the table. So our nonprofit partners, they're bringing expertise around their mission, their delivery, what they do best, what they're so passionate about. We're bringing expertise building technology solutions tailored to the nonprofit space, and then Microsoft is bringing in all their expertise in addition to having the focus on nonprofits. So to us, it's a very win-win-win type of partnership. I don't think any of the three of us would be able to do as much together without it.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Absolutely, it's a unbelievable pleasure to count with the partnership with partners like Valorem Reply, that they have a dedicated team for nonprofit organizations like here at Microsoft. So as I said, TSI, Tech for Social Impact, is a global organization that are fully dedicated for nonprofit organizations. And part of this program, so I'm gonna call out like someone from the audience here. Amina Alavi is here. She's from Doctor Without Borders, and I have the honor to participate with her. What we call Hack for Goods. So here in TSI, we are on the third version right now. On the second version, I had the pleasure to have Amina participation, leading a group that basically what we do, we select many use cases from nonprofit organizations. Use cases always started zero with technology, always started with mission-oriented use cases. What we are going to transform for the nonprofit organizations. And when we have the use cases, we work with our Microsoft team, with our amazing partners like Valorem Reply, our customers, and today we are on the version 3.0 of our Hack for Goods, that we have two universities hacking with us for our nonprofit organizations. So in average, we have between 10, 15 organizations coming with the use cases, and we have our team hacking for them. The goal is to have MVP ready in order to be deployed in their subscriptions, in their environments, and absolutely in taking in consideration three main points: responsible AI, which has the core of everything that we do here at Microsoft with our partners. The second point, is related to this is optimized and secure to be deployed in the customer subscription using the cutting edge technology that we're building for our nonprofit organizations. And three, last but not least, we have our technical team together with our partners to support our customers in this journey. So that's I would say
What was the last one,
that we
Hugo? What was the last one? I'm sorry. Can you repeat the last one?
also, the last one is the technical capabilities that we have, the capacity supports that we have for that we bring to our nonprofit organizations, our customers.
Thank you. And Amina, it's great to have you with us. And that sounds like that was a very exciting project. Wonderful, wonderful. I want to talk a little bit, and don't worry, Richard, I still see your question. I'm coming back to it. But Hugo, you said something, responsible AI, optimize and technical capabilities. Peter mentioned about commitment and intention. So I want to talk a little bit about just how we approach this work from a governance perspective, if that's okay, a little bit about responsibility. How important is data governance in the AI lifecycle? And what advice would you give on establishing strong governance practices? How important is data governance in the AI lifecycle? And what advice would you give on establishing strong governance practices? I'm gonna throw it back at you, Hugo, only because this question came to me based on what you were describing. But can you help us answer that question?
Absolutely. For the AI life cycle, I would say in three main categories: responsible AI, define clear policies, and AI agents for data governance. So the solution nowadays is getting involved in a way that I'm able to bundle all those 3 points together: responsible AI, clear policies, and data governance in one tool, basically, that I'm able to host the data, be able to work in a responsible AI manner that I'm able to AI models rely to accurate and unbiased data, if I will. So another example, 2 years before the OpenAI or before the AI hit the mainstream once again, before that, Microsoft released a responsible AI framework at GitHub for free, so others can rely for it in terms of how to create policies, how to define the policies, how be able to launch the models and be sure that this came with unbiased data, if I will. So we have been doing this like years before AI hit the mainstream once again. The second point is related to defining clear policies. So organizations should create, and we help them with our partners to create the frameworks for data privacy. The another one, the last point is related to rely to data governance and the AI agents on top of it, in terms of data governance agents, in terms of automate compliance check, or classify sensitive data, or flag security risks. All those things came together in terms of governance, and we have tools available there that are able to automate and have agents to taking care of those elements for our customers.
I'd like to step in here as a provider. I mean, as a customer who uses AI and uses services, and I want to represent both the fact that I'm a large nonprofit by most standards, but there's also very small nonprofits. The first thing I want to say is responsible AI is very, very important, but it can't be thought of as a barrier to using AI. And it's a simple reason why. It's because not doing anything means you're just leaving exposed everything that responsible AI asks you to do, but you're not involved. It's just there. It's just out there in your world. AI is being used to try to attack you. AI is being used around you by everyone. So the game of responsible AI, there's no responsible AI unless you're AI. The second thing I want to say is Okay, share the risk. I'm going to be honest. I partner with Microsoft. I partner with Salesforce. I partner with organizations that are helping me manage my risk. Some of that's reputational. I'll be honest, this goes back to when I was a much younger man in the industry, and people would say, I buy IBM because nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. And I'm going to be honest with you, right now for the next 3 years, I'm using major players who have credible approaches because I'm least likely to get fired if I'm learning with them. Now, you guys, Microsoft, you got to be careful the next few years. The world's changing fast, and frankly, you guys have been leaders in this space. I'm not sure that in 3 years or in 5 years that the people we think as safe players today will still be safe players. But for now, there's huge benefit in sharing risk with others by adopting the approaches, the practices, the responsible AI guardrails that good partners can help you provide. The third thing is this is totally different than everything we knew before. In the past, it was all about security and privacy. But when we're talking about responsible AI, there's a stake for everybody in our organization. There's legal risk, there's compliance risk, there's HR risk, bias risk, there's new categories of risk. This could be seen as a huge inhibitor. Look at all that risk, but guess what? It also brings everybody to the table. And by bringing everybody to the table, it allows you to start forming as an organization a cohesive commitment to what we talked about at the beginning, a good human-centered, augmenting human intention. Alignment is a key word there, aligning what we're doing with our positive missions. That is great. It's responsible AI by itself is an enabler of people getting on board because it's inclusive and collaborative at every step of the way.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah.
Ryan, anything? Oh, hold on. I just want to make sure,
Yes,
Ryan, anything you want to add to that?
So yeah, I think Hugo and Peter really explained a lot about the how here and the techniques and some of the things that need to get done. The only thing I could probably add to that is, I think of, I spent many years in the software development world. So the lean agile ethos was always very important to me, and it was based around trust, transparency, and a willingness to receive feedback and learn and grow. And I think as you think of putting together a governance team internal to help manage your AI overall governance, and I think Peter hit upon it real well. It's an opportunity to bring people into that organization and build that trust, because ultimately you have to be transparent and you have to monitor what you're doing with AI and learn and grow. And so part of that is, having a watchful eye for potential bias. Bias may enter your models, and you know, what are you going to do if you see that happen? How are you going to address it? How are you going to be very ethical in terms of mitigating that particular risk? And so I look at different types of organizations. I know some of the folks on the call here are part of affiliate organizations, and every national affiliate organization has a different culture of collaboration. Some of them are very strong at the headquarters. Some of them leave more power out in the field. But this is a great area where you can bring a lot of collaborators to the table and hear different voices and really help build that trust within a far-flung organization like that, and learn and grow together. And that can benefit your entire organization. So I look at, to the original question, it's the cornerstone of your AI lifecycle. You have to start with a North Star, and you have to be very focused on data governance from the get-go. High quality, secure, ethically managed data is an absolute imperative. But then what you do with that once you're up and running has an opportunity to bring you closer together as an organization and really help you enable, the ability to unlock much greater value on the other side after you've built that kind of trust and working together.
Yeah, Hugo, thank you, Ryan. Hugo, did you want to say anything else to that?
No, that's perfect, Ryan. And just say to Peter, he positioning so well the sharing risk portion on it in inclusiveness as well. So in terms of yesterday, Peter, just having an example, I have a meeting with the a product manager of accessibility here at the Microsoft. She's responsible to design accessibility features in the Office 365. So I have the honor yesterday to have a meeting with her. And as you can imagine, she has accessibility. She's not able to type, right? So, and she asked me, Hugo, can I record in this session? I said, absolutely, you have to. Yeah, feel free. For the first time in years using Copilot now, I was able to see a meeting drove by a person that really need that feature of the accessibility to rely for what's going to be next for her.
Mhm.
As example, the way that she framed out the questions for me during the meeting was different that I have been using here. For instance, she was able to summarize, always relying for which type of information that I should provide to Copilot, to AI, so the feedback that I will have is exactly what I'm looking for. So I can tell you, like she was the one that I have been working so far, including Microsoft, or including my team, that have the most advantage from the tools that we have available. After the meeting, I received the keynotes from the co-pilots, and I saw that I received the, not naming a product, but I received the keynotes or the summary from the AI, and I was able to read through this in a way that was unbelievable. It was the first time that I saw, wow, I saw the difference. So the tool in the sharing risk, Peter, was basically the tool itself. It was building using responsible AI as a guardrail for it. And when we receive the results from this and have someone with accessibility using this as a regular tool, we saw the difference in the results in a clear way, if I will. Yeah.
Great. You know, as we're moving towards the end of the meeting, I'm just going to call out right now that meeting use case is a conversation use case. It is the ability to take conversation and turn it into document, turn it into data, turn it into action. It's one of the most powerful design patterns, in my opinion, for benefiting from the use of AI. The ability to take conversation to document, to data, to action. For us as nonprofits, I'm repeating what I said at the beginning, but I think it's worth underlining. Most of our business is conversation. And these tools grant those possibilities for us. It applies in 100 ways in our organizations. And it's available through the simplest of tools. The very basic generic AI tool is really good at turning conversation into document, data, action.
I'm also hearing a common theme just around inclusion, right? And the fact that you want everyone at the table when you're designing this, but then you think about the benefit of AI to be able to help those who may have different needs. I don't want to say limitations, right? But they may come to us, right, working and thinking in a different way. And it sounds like AI allows us to do that. Ryan, would you like to help us with Richard's question in the chat before I move towards the last two of our questions? Oh, okay, Amina. Oh, okay, Amina. It was great to have you. Thank you so much for joining. So Richard says, we are using Microsoft 365 across the Y of San Francisco with nonprofit pricing. We see the step up in cost for enabling more powerful AI-enabled licenses. For example, Teams, as a blocker to rolling out across the organization. Any thoughts on how we can be inclusive and equitable, there goes that word again, in rolling out AI when it may not be practical from a budgeting perspective?
Sure. Well, I'm going to be the first to admit we are not a licensing services provider, so I don't have really a lot of specifics around, how Microsoft prices different things. Hugo may even need to redirect that to a different person. But I will say, generally speaking, what we've seen is certainly Microsoft provides a lot of nonprofit discounts, and as new AI services roll out over time, I in my experience, just having participated with different conferences, I've seen Microsoft then, announce discounts. So they end up coming over time as newer services roll out. And I think with each one, it would be just a matter of coming in and evaluating at the current time, is there a positive ROI on that? So for teams, as an example, we might use the the example of the meetings would your team gain value from the automated note-taking action items, things like that, and can you quantify that in terms of, does that save your team time over the given month? Does it impact your ability to get more things done? Things like that. So I don't have a great answer for exactly how and why certain SKUs reach discount and when that happens. But I do know that Microsoft is continually, through the TSI organization, they continually invest in the nonprofit world through both discounting as well as any kind of quote unquote profit they generate. They invest right back into this organization. So part of the challenge, at least in some of my conversations with some of my Microsoft friends, is that a lot of times when a new AI service rolls out, even on the back end, they're still calibrating and trying to understand how much it really costs them to deliver that service. And so that's why sometimes with a brand new AI service, it doesn't reach the level of nonprofit pricing you might hope to expect for some period of time until they've got a greater understanding for what does it cost in terms of in an Azure data center to deliver that service, in terms of how much compute and things like that. And then you start to see that kind of roll out to market. So I'll pause there. Hugo may have more, may not, I don't know, but that's how I would look at it.
I'm going to jump in, Hugo, because I buy, so I'm in the same place. I support Microsoft across 8,000 workers, frontline and otherwise. There's a very complicated way to talk about this, but there's a very simple way to talk about this. The biggest benefits of AI are coming from the free layers. And even Microsoft 365, now it depends on how you count. If you look at the frontline license, basically has a free layer for adding, and I apologize for that interruption, basically has a free layer for using the core capability of AI. And now there are layers that cost, and they cost for nonprofits, but there are strategies for leveraging the core capabilities to produce the bulk of your results. There is a fundamental dynamic where the cost of intelligence is dropping at least 10 times, if not 100 times a year. And we just have to figure out how to ride that curve incrementally. The deep search is the newest ChatGPT capability. Deep thinking is a Microsoft capability. All these tools have it. Well, guess what? The free version includes one or two of those kinds of queries. If you want to use it all day long, yeah, you're going to pay a lot of money for it. But there's ways to ease in and to build a cost strategy. There's ways to say, no, I don't necessarily need Microsoft 365 Copilot for every user. Where can I find the right match for the ever price decreasing capabilities that are coming available to short-term benefits for our team members and for our organization? I'm happy, of course, to have one-on-one conversations about all the strategies I use to try to win against Microsoft pricing or Salesforce pricing or other people's pricing. Or you can have those with all of your colleagues, right? That we're all in the same game together. But I think this does not have to feel like an expensive game. It can feel like it's another way. This technology is more accessible than almost any technology that has been released into our markets.
So, thank you, Peter. That was very, very helpful. Also, thank you, Ryan. I'm going to try to sneak in one more question before we wrap up. And here it is. As we close out, what are the must-have next steps for nonprofits ready to take their first or AI? What are the must-have next steps for nonprofits ready to take their first or next leap with AI? Who wants to take that? Hugo, you look like you got something. Ryan,
Yes.
you have a bit of a smile on your face. I don't know.
I can start. I'm happy to do it. I think one of the first things, I would start with is organizational readiness. Like, is your culture, are your people ready to embrace AI? And by people, I mean literally all of your stakeholders. Starting internally, certainly, and then looking at objectives where maybe this is going to benefit your end constituents. So really, I'd start there. And then to me, it's super important to define clear objectives right up front. And again, this is where groups like us can help with a very short, like 2-day workshop, help you map out strategy, North Star. Let's slot rank a few objectives and figure out where to pilot. And I look at this also as a great opportunity to keep your stakeholders very close to the process. I go back to transparency and trust. There's no greater way to do that than to make sure that the stakeholders that are involved are represented at the table. It's how we think of lean agile as an ethos. It's how we make sure we've got feedback loops as short as possible. Bring those people to the table, whether those your affiliates out in the field, maybe even some of your donors in some cases, or your funders. Whatever is relevant, make sure they have a seat at the table, and then kind of through that, you can start to ID where there are opportunities for a pilot project or two. And then again, like we just spent a little bit of time talking, make sure you've got governance in place to regularly monitor what's going on. I look at those as kind of some of the key predecessor steps, but really you got to start with that organizational readiness. Are you, as an organization, from a leadership perspective and some of your other constituents, you guys ready to start this journey? And then once the answer is yes, I think there are lots of patterns and practices to help you get rolling real fast.
Yeah. I would add on that, pilot a use case, like select a mission-oriented use case that you would like to start to attack and working together and bring AI to help you out, implement like AI-driven solutions. And most important, design measurables outcomes before scaling, like what I'm going to measure during this pilot, during this test that I'm going to have, and in order to help you and protect you as well in terms of this ROI that we have the questions from Richard. Building a learning culture, like right now, the Tech for Social Impact, we are driving a skill capabilities on AI is trainings over trainings, webinars are free for our customers to use, and please take advantage of everything that we are putting together in terms of skill capabilities. So we are working with our customers to understand the use cases and translate this in multiple layers on the way that Maxine, you ask your questions in terms of AI, data, application, governance. This is exactly the framework that we are teaching our customers and how to understand the solutions that we have available, not only from the Microsoft perspective, but especially from the knowledge base perspective. So I think that those are the key points. As Ryan said, access readiness, the pilot use case, mission-oriented use case, and building a learning culture in the organization. So this is it's really important.
Great, that's great. Peter, any other final thoughts to that question?
I can't argue with those, right? I do think literacy is a fundamental driver, and it's better if it's grassroots and leadership down, both sides. Nothing, can't argue against readiness, except readiness gets in the way of you starting to try. And I'm just going to go back to something I said earlier. You can't do responsible AI if you're not doing AI. Just passive, not doing anything isn't helping anything in this matter, because AI is being done against you and against your data and against your organization every day. If you're passive, you're just a victim of AI. Your employees are using AI every day. Your employees' kids are using AI in school every day. So what do we do? What do we do? And I think that we need to find every possible way to encourage people in our organization to experiment, to try, And we're getting more tools every day. 2 years ago, that meant the only thing we could do is talk to big knowledge. And boy, that's powerful. That's really powerful. But today, we are having tools that are making it simple for us to do more and more and more. And so this idea of starting with pilots and stuff, I'm 100% supportive of it. I just don't want us to let ROI or to let responsible or to let governance or to let the fact that we're scared stiff about the state of our data or to let any of those things get in the way of us finding productive ways to become familiar with how AI supports mission building, supports impact building. I think the two of them carry each other. So I think I'm not really saying don't be secure, don't be ready, don't be literate. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is don't be afraid to constantly be taking next steps. The tools are getting more and more powerful every day. They have impact every day. And by the way, I'm going to tell you, start with how do you leverage conversations across every aspect of what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're coming down to the end. Peter, Ryan, I can't thank Hugo. I can't thank you enough. I've learned a lot from this conversation. For the few people that are left in the audience, I have a question for you in the chat. As a result of this dialogue, where are you with this? Are you a believer? If you are a believer, you can put 1 in the chat. If you are still on the fence or you're almost there, you can put 2. And if you're like, nope, Ryan, Peter, and Hugo did not convince me, Maxine, you could put nope, which is a number 3. And as you do that, we're going to bring this conversation to the end. Again, I do hope that you learned a lot. I certainly did. I see that Al is back on camera, so I do want to turn the mic over to him. But I will say that for me, if I were to put something in the chat, I think I would definitely put a number 1 at this point, because what I heard was everything, all the best practices you want to hear across any industry with anything that involves change. You want to make sure that there's inclusion, there's integration, there's governance, there's ROI, and there's a lack of fear in moving into new things and moving towards change. So I have to say thank you. Oh, I see a lot of 1s in the chat. I have to say thank you to our panel today. Al, can I turn it back over to you for final thoughts?
Sure. Thank you, Maxine. I wanted to congratulate you on moderating a great conversation, and to each of the panelists. Peter, it's been a while since we've had a conversation like this where I've been able to listen to your perspective. It's amazing. It's outstanding. And for Hugo and Ryan, we have not met prior to this conversation, so I hadn't had the opportunity to think about how you would see these things. But you're right, spot on from my standpoint. So I guess I would give you an 11. That's 2 1s. And in terms of my being convinced about the conversation and the directions that you think we should follow. I know we're right towards the end, and this I don't know if there's Hugo, Ryan. Would there any final comments from Valorum or from Microsoft you'd like to throw in here?
Yeah,
Ryan,
I
or
would
Hugo.
like,
Go ahead, either way.
yeah, just really quick 3 points. AI is not just a tool, it's a mission accelerator. Take advantage of it. It starts small and it starts right now. And very important point, human-led and AI enhanced. That means that AI should support nonprofit teams. There is no replacement, is a support. That's my final thoughts.
Thank you, Hugo. Ryan, anything from your perspective?
Yeah, just to echo those. I mean, it's, we're using it every day. We're helping nonprofits further their missions on a very regular basis. So we're involved with multiple sub-verticals within nonprofit, health and human services, IGOs, NGOs, arts and culture, and others. And we love it. It's been one of the most enriching things I've done in my career is work in this role. And all the people at our company, I think, it's a huge asset to us and an honor to be able to work with mission-driven organizations. Our people love to be on these engagements, and I'm so happy that we're investing in it, and Microsoft invests what they do in it. And for any of you on the call, happy to have a one-on-one conversation, no cost, just a chat to see where you're going and how can we maybe help you go in the right direction. So Thank you all for participating, and thank you to CVision for having me here.
Thank you, Ryan. On behalf of CVision, I'd like to thank you on the panel, as well as those folks that are here in the audience participating here. I think it's been a great learning opportunity to share between each other in this kind of conversation. There will be an email coming out from me, say within the next 24 hours. I'm going to put it out that far, but hopefully sooner than that. But basically creating that link, email-wise at least, between each of the persons that are still here and those that have been here in the conversation. And that may be an opportunity for you to think, oh, there's that one other question that I would like to have asked, but I didn't get a chance to do it. Well, at least you'll have the email to catch up with that. And I appreciate what Ryan and Hugo, and I'm sure Peter has already said, like, reach out. I'm happy to discuss with you about these types of things that are happening and the opportunities from my particular way of looking at life. CVision also has a lot of conversations coming up. This is virtual. It's a little harder sometimes to engage as much as we would like, but I think most of us here live within proximity to some type of major, I'm going to call it metro area. Maybe we all don't, but there's conversations coming up in New York and Miami and Boston and gosh, in Los Angeles. There's Dallas. So I'm thinking you're going to have an opportunity to come out, if you would like to, into what CVision calls a think tank format or a roundtable dinner kind of format, to have a little bit more face-to-face type of opportunity. If you would like to have that kind of a chance to visit with folks like you've heard here today, or that you've at least seen on the chat. But I'd like to thank you, all of you, for being here, and especially to the partners at Microsoft and Valorem Reply for participating today. And to Maxine, I'll look forward to seeing you in New York coming up here in the near future. Maxine, take care. Have a good one. Have a nice afternoon. Safe afternoon to everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.